Marcus Bennett stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his penthouse office, his reflection barely visible against the backdrop of New Houston's glittering skyline. The year 2145 had brought him everything he'd once dreamed of: wealth, power, and technological breakthroughs that had changed humanity forever. Yet as he watched the evening sun paint the sky in shades of orange and purple, he felt nothing but emptiness. His fingers traced the cool surface of the quantum processing chip in his pocket, his latest triumph. Quantum Horizons, his company, had just announced the world's first commercial quantum teleportation system. The stock prices had soared, adding another billion to his already massive fortune. The media called him a visionary, a pioneer, the man who would revolutionize human transportation. But the congratulatory messages flooding his neural implant felt hollow. He dismissed them with a slight twitch of his left eye, a gesture that had become almost automatic over the years. "Display family photos," he whispered to the room's AI system. The windows transformed into a massive display, showing images he both treasured and dreaded. Catherine, Kate, as she preferred, smiled back at him from their wedding day 15 years ago. Her brown hair caught in the wind, green eyes sparkling with joy. Next came pictures of Lucas's birth, then Sophia's. Family vacations, birthday parties, simple moments at home, all from a life that seemed to belong to someone else now. The AI's soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "Mr. Bennett, you have been standing here for 45 minutes. Would you like me to adjust the room's temperature?" "No," he replied, his voice rough. "Show me their current photos." The images shifted. Lucas, now 17, appeared in his school graduation photo. The boy had his mother's green eyes and Marcus's dark hair. Sophia, 14, smiled awkwardly in her science fair picture, her braces catching the light. Both images were 6 months old, the last time he received updates through his lawyer. 10 years. 10 years since Kate had finally had enough of his endless work hours and broken promises. 10 years since she'd taken the kids and left, leaving behind a marriage that had crumbled under the weight of his ambition. The mandatory family visits had become increasingly strained over the years. Lucas barely spoke to him anymore, preferring to immerse himself in his robotics projects during their time together. Sophia tried harder, but even she had grown distant, her attempts at conversation becoming more formal and less daughter-like with each visit. Marcus walked to his desk, a piece of furniture worth more than most people's homes. He pressed his palm against its surface, and holographic displays sprang to life around him. Market reports, research data, development timelines, the fruits of his obsession. "You have an incoming priority message," the AI announced. "Source unknown. Security protocols cannot verify the sender." Marcus frowned. His communication systems were the most secure on Earth. An unverifiable message shouldn't have been possible. "Display it." The message appeared before him, floating in simple text. "Quantum breach detected in Project Mirror. Security compromise extends beyond standard parameters. Timeline integrity at risk. Immediate detention required." His heart rate spiked. Project Mirror was his most classified initiative, a theoretical application of quantum teleportation that even his closest engineers didn't fully understand. The project existed in a separate facility, isolated from all networks. "Run a full security scan on Project Mirror's facilities," he ordered. Scanning, the AI responded. "Warning. Unusual quantum signatures detected. Pattern matches theoretical models for temporal displacement." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. If someone had managed to breach Project Mirror's security, the implications were staggering. The technology wasn't just about transportation. It had revealed something far more profound during testing, something about the nature of reality itself. He reached for his quantum tablet, quickly typing commands to access the facility's deep monitoring systems. As data streamed across the screen, his eyes widened. The breach wasn't an intrusion from outside. It was something emerging from within the quantum field itself. His neural implant buzzed again, this time with a message from Kate. His heart skipped a beat. She never contacted him directly anymore. "Marcus, we need to talk. It's about the kids. Something's happening on Mars Colony 7, and I think it's connected to your work. Call me." He stared at the message, reading it 3 times. Kate had taken a position as a xenobiologist on Mars 2 years ago, taking the kids with her. He told himself it was for the best, They'd have opportunities there, be part of humanity's greatest adventure. In reality, he knew the distance had been a relief. It had been easier to bury himself in work when they weren't just a short flight away. But now something was wrong, and somehow it was connected to Project Mirror. The AI's voice cut through his thoughts again. "Mr. Bennett, quantum fluctuations are increasing. The pattern suggests a cascade effect beginning in approximately 72 hours. Marcus looked back at the family photos still displayed on his window screens. In every image, they were smiling, happy, together. He had traded that life for his empire of technology and innovation. He had convinced himself it was necessary, that his work would change the world for the better. Now, as he stood in his lonely tower with alarms blaring about quantum breaches and timeline integrity, he realized how foolish he had been. Success wasn't measured in patents or profit margins. It wasn't found in the headlines or stock prices. He touched the quantum processor in his pocket again, feeling its slight warmth. This technology had made him the richest man in the solar system. But as he looked at his reflection in the darkening window, superimposed over the images of his lost family, he understood that he had never been poorer. "Prepare my private shuttle," he commanded the AI, "and get me everything you can find about recent anomalies on Mars Colony 7. As the AI acknowledged his orders, a new message flashed across his vision. "Timeline convergence imminent. Choose wisely." Marcus Bennett, the billionaire who had changed the world, finally understood that he had one last chance to change what really mattered. The quantum breach wasn't just a security threat, it was an opportunity. And this time, he wouldn't let his family slip away. The sun had fully set now, leaving New Houston's lights to twinkle like earthbound stars. Somewhere up there, beyond the atmosphere and the vast empty space, his family was facing something unknown. Something connected to his work, his ambition, his choices. This time, he would make the right choice. "Begin quantum teleporter warm-up sequence," he ordered. "Plot coordinates for Mars Colony 7. The adventure that would either reunite his family or tear reality apart was about to begin. The quantum lab beneath New Houston hummed with energy as Marcus stepped through the security field. White walls pulsed with soft blue light, reflecting off the polished floor. This was where Project Mirror had first shown signs of something extraordinary, something that went far beyond simple teleportation. "Display breach data," he commanded. The air around him filled with holographic readouts, each showing increasingly unstable quantum signatures. But it was the images that caught his attention. Ghostly snapshots of what appeared to be alternate realities. In one, he saw himself at what looked like Lucas's 10th birthday party, an event he had missed in reality due to a crucial investor meeting. Another showed him and Kate celebrating their 15th anniversary, even though they had divorced after 12 years. These weren't just random images. They were glimpses of other timelines, other choices. "Sir," his AI assistant spoke through his neural implant, "I've analyzed the data from Mars Colony 7. They've reported unusual energy signatures in their atmospheric dome. The pattern matches our quantum field disturbances." Marcus enlarged one of the holographic displays, studying the complex wave patterns. "Show me the colony's recent status reports." The display shifted, revealing information about Mars Colony 7, his eyes fixed on the personnel list. Catherine Morrison, lead cynobiologist. Below her name was a project title, "Adaptive Bacterial Evolution in Martian Soil Conditions." He pulled up more details about her work. Kate had been studying how Earth bacteria mutated in Mars's harsh environment. But according to the latest reports, something unexpected had happened. The bacteria weren't just adapting, they were showing signs of quantum entanglement. "Access Lucas and Sophia's colony records," he said. New windows appeared. Lucas had joined the colony's robotics program, working on maintenance drones for the outer dome sections. His project notes showed impressive innovations in AI navigation systems. Sophia, despite her young age, had been allowed to assist in the xenobotany lab, helping to grow the colony's first successful Earth plants in Martian soil. As Marcus read through their achievements, pride mixed with regret in his chest. His children were flourishing, but he had missed it all. The quantum processor in his pocket seemed to grow heavier. A sudden alert flashed across his vision. "Warning. Quantum cascade detected in Lab Section 7. Marcus rushed to the sealed chamber where they kept the original mirror prototype. Through the transparent walls, he saw bolts of energy dancing around the device. The quantum field was becoming visible to the naked eye, something that should have been impossible. Run a timeline analysis, he ordered, pressing his hand against the security scanner. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The AI's response was immediate. Multiple timeline convergences detected. Probability matrices suggest this is not a random event. The quantum field appears to be reaching for something. Inside the chamber, Marcus approached the prototype. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, reflecting distorted images of countless possible realities. He saw himself in thousands of versions, some successful, some broken, some happy, some alone. But in every timeline where he was truly happy, his family was with him. Cross-reference the quantum signatures with Mars Colony 7's anomalies, he said, his voice steady despite the growing chaos around him. Data streams flowed through his neural interface. The connection was undeniable. The quantum disturbances on Mars perfectly matched the patterns in his lab. But there was something more. The bacteria Kate was studying had somehow become quantum entangled with his teleportation experiments on Earth. "Sir," the AI interrupted, "I've detected a message embedded in the quantum field. It appears to be from another you." The message materialized before him. "The barriers are thinning. Realities are bleeding together. Kate discovered it first. The bacteria are just the beginning. The kids are in danger. In every timeline where you stay apart, something goes wrong. The quantum field is trying to correct a mistake, your mistake." Marcus stepped back, his mind racing. He had always seen quantum teleportation as a way to move matter through space. But what if it was more? What if the technology had somehow become aware of the damage done to his family across multiple realities? New alerts flashed urgently. Quantum cascade accelerating. Timeline collapse imminent in Mars Colony 7 sector. He pulled up the colony's live feed. The massive dome that protected the Martian settlement glowed with the same ethereal energy he saw in his lab. Inside, environmental systems were starting to fail, and at the center of it all was Kate's research facility. "Show me the colony's quantum readings," he demanded. The numbers confirmed his fears. The quantum disturbance was centered exactly where Kate and the kids were working. Their experiments with the bacteria had accidentally tapped into the same quantum field his teleporter used. The two sites were linked across 140 million miles of space. Lucas's robotics lab was reporting drone malfunctions. Sophia's plants were showing impossible growth patterns. And Kate's bacteria samples were rewriting themselves on a quantum level. A memory surfaced. Kate's voice from years ago. "You can't control everything, Marcus. Some things are meant to be together." He looked at the quantum processor again. All these years, he thought he was developing a transportation system. Instead, he had created something that could see across realities, something that understood what had been broken. "Prepare the teleporter," he ordered. "Full power." "Sir," the AI warned, "the quantum field is highly unstable. Teleportation at this point carries significant risks." "What's happening to the colony's dome?" "Structural integrity is failing. Environmental systems are compromised. Without intervention, the colony will lose containment in less than 48 hours. Marcus squared his shoulders. Sometimes the biggest risks lead to the most important discoveries. He stepped onto the teleporter platform. "But this time, I'm not discovering new technology. I'm rediscovering what I lost." The quantum field surged around him, showing him one last vision. Kate in her lab, looking up at the failing dome with worry in her eyes. Lucas trying to control his malfunctioning drones. Sophia watching her plants grow and twist in impossible ways. His family needed him. Not his money, not his technology, but him. "Initialize quantum teleport sequence," he commanded. Destination: Mars Colony 7. As the teleporter powered up, the images of alternate timelines swirled faster around him. In each one, he saw the same truth. Love and family were the real measure of success. The quantum field wasn't just breaking down barriers between locations. It was breaking down the barriers he had built around his heart. The last thing he saw before the quantum field enveloped him was a message floating in the chaos. Timeline convergence accepted. Probability of successful reunion increasing. Marcus Bennett, the man who had sacrificed his family for success, was about to risk everything to get them back. As the quantum teleporter engaged, he finally understood. Sometimes the longest journey isn't measured in miles, but in the distance between hearts. The light grew blindingly bright, and Marcus Bennett began his journey across space, time, and the barriers of his own making. The quantum teleportation process felt like being torn apart and rebuilt one atom at a time. Marcus's consciousness stretched across the 140 million miles between Earth and Mars, giving him glimpses of countless realities along the way. In one timeline, he saw himself attending Sophia's first science fair, beaming with pride as she explained her project about plant growth in low gravity. In another, he was teaching Lucas how to fix an old-style hoverbike, grease on their hands and laughter in the air. Each vision showed him a life he could have had if he'd made different choices. The journey that should have taken months by conventional spacecraft lasted only minutes through the quantum field. But those minutes felt like years as Marcus experienced fragments of other lives, other choices, other possibilities. Suddenly, reality snapped back into focus. Marcus materialized in the middle of Kate's lab on Mars Colony 7, his quantum processor glowing hot in his pocket. Warning sirens blared through the facility's speakers, and red emergency lights pulsed along the walls. He stumbled, his legs weak from the teleport, and grabbed onto a nearby lab bench for support. Through the lab's large windows, he could see the massive dome that protected the colony. Strange patterns of energy danced across its surface, exactly like the quantum disturbances in his lab on Earth. Dad. Marcus turned to find Sophia standing in the doorway, her eyes wide with shock. She had grown taller since he'd last seen her, and her braces were gone. She wore a junior researcher's lab coat with botany division printed on the pocket. Sophia, he breathed, taking a step toward her. Are you okay? Where are your mother and brother? Before she could answer, the entire colony shook. The lights flickered, and more alarms joined the chorus. Sophia grabbed the doorframe to stay upright. Mom's in the main research lab, she said, pointing down the corridor. Lucas is trying to fix the environmental controls with his drones. But Dad, something really weird is happening to my plants. They're growing and changing in ways that should be impossible. Marcus nodded. I know. It's connected to my quantum teleporter technology somehow. Where's the main lab? Sophia led him through the corridors, passing other colonists who were rushing to their emergency stations. The colony shook again, harder this time. They found Kate in her lab, surrounded by holographic displays showing various readings from her bacterial samples. She looked up as they entered, her green eyes widening in surprise. Marcus, how did you? She stopped mid-sentence as another tremor rocked the colony. Never mind. Look at this. She gestured to one of the displays, showing microscopic images of her bacterial samples. The bacteria were shifting and changing before their eyes, their very molecular structure reorganizing itself. They're quantum entangled, Marcus explained. Connected to the teleporter experiments back on Earth, the quantum field is bleeding through, affecting everything in the colony. Kate's expression hardened. You mean your experimental technology is putting everyone here at risk? Not exactly, Marcus said, pulling out his quantum processor. I think the field is trying to fix something. In every alternate timeline I saw during the teleport, our family was together. It's like the quantum field itself is trying to correct a mistake. My mistake. Before Kate could respond, Lucas burst into the lab. Mom, the environmental systems are failing. My drones can't keep up with the repairs, and... He stopped when he saw Marcus. Dad, what are you doing here? Trying to help, Marcus said softly. Lucas, I need your drones. I think I know how to stabilize the colony, but I'll need everyone's help. Lucas hesitated, then nodded. The colony shook again, and warning lights flashed as another system failed. The dome's quantum signature is accelerating, Kate said, checking her readings. At this rate, we have less than an hour before total failure. Marcus connected his quantum processor to Kate's lab systems. Data streams filled the air around them, showing the complex interaction between his teleporter technology, Kate's bacteria, Sophia's rapidly evolving plants, and Lucas's malfunctioning drones. The quantum field isn't just affecting individual systems, he explained. It's trying to bring everything into harmony, including us. Sophia, your plants are adapting to Mars faster than they should because they're quantum linked to multiple timelines where they already evolved. Lucas, your drones are malfunctioning because they're picking up control signals from other realities. So how do we fix it? Lucas asked, his initial coldness toward his father thawing in the face of the crisis. Marcus smiled slightly. We work together. Kate, your bacteria have already adapted to the quantum field. If we can use them as a template, we might be able to stabilize the colony's systems. Lucas, I need your drones to distribute a modified version of the bacteria throughout the environmental control network. Sophia, your plants can help too. They can act as quantum anchors, helping to ground the field. The family worked together for the first time in years, each contributing their expertise. Kate modified her bacteria using Marcus's quantum data. Lucas reprogrammed his drones to carry the bacterial solution. Sophia identified which of her plants showed the strongest quantum adaptations. As they worked, Marcus saw something he had missed during all his years of pursuing success: the joy of creating something together, of solving problems as a family. The quantum field around them pulsed with possibility, showing glimpses of happy futures that now seemed within reach. But time was running out. The dome's integrity was failing faster than their solutions could be implemented. Marcus watched the catastrophe approaching through the lab windows, knowing they needed more time. Then he remembered something from his quantum journey, a fragment of another timeline where he had solved a similar problem. The memory felt like it belonged to another him, but the solution was clear. The quantum processor, he said suddenly. We can use it to synchronize all our efforts across multiple timelines. Every version of us that solved this problem, we can tap into their solutions. Kate looked at him skeptically. That's incredibly dangerous, Marcus. We could make things worse. Do we have a choice? He asked softly. Sometimes the biggest risks lead to the greatest rewards. I learned that the hard way when I lost you all. The colony shook again, and warning systems announced the dome's imminent failure. Kate met Marcus's eyes and nodded slowly. As Marcus prepared to initialize the quantum synchronization, he looked at his family, really looked at them. They had grown and changed so much during their years apart. But here they were, working together to save not just the colony, but perhaps their family too. He realized that the quantum field hadn't brought him to Mars just to prevent a disaster. It brought him here to show him what real success looked like, the trust in Lucas's eyes as he programmed his drones, the pride in Sophia's smile as she tended her plants, the familiar way Kate still bit her lip when she was concentrating. The quantum processor hummed to life in his hands, ready to bridge not just realities, but hearts. The hardest part of his journey wasn't the teleport across space. It was the step he was about to take toward rebuilding what he had lost. Marcus took a deep breath and initiated the synchronization sequence. The future of Mars Colony 7 and his family hung in the balance. The quantum processor pulsed with blinding light as Marcus activated the synchronization sequence. The lab around them filled with ghostly images, versions of themselves from other timelines, all working to save their own versions of Mars Colony 7. Kate's modified bacteria, carried by Lucas's drones, spread throughout the colony's environmental systems. Sophia's quantum-adapted plants began to glow with an otherworldly light, their roots reaching deep into the Martian soil through specially designed growth chambers. The dome's integrity is at 15%, Lucas called out, his hands flying over the drone control panel. Environmental systems are failing faster than we can repair them. Marcus watched the readings from his quantum processor. The synchronization was working, but not fast enough. He could feel the knowledge from other timelines flowing into his mind, solutions, failures, possibilities. In some timelines, they had already lost the colony. In others, they had succeeded, but at terrible costs. Kate, he said urgently, bacteria are mutating too slowly. We need to speed up their evolution. Kate nodded, her fingers dancing across her lab controls. I can increase the quantum exposure, but it might make them unstable. Another violent tremor shook the colony. Through the windows, they could see cracks beginning to form in the massive dome. The Martian atmosphere, thin and deadly, waited to rush in. Sophia spoke up from her plant station. Dad, look at this. She pointed to one of her specimens, a modified vine that had grown to 10 times its normal size in minutes. The plants are responding to the quantum field. They're trying to help. Marcus studied the readings. The plants weren't just growing. They were actively strengthening the colony's structure, their enhanced roots weaving through the foundation like living support beams. Lucas, he called, redirect your drones to follow the plant growth patterns. The bacteria will spread faster along those routes. The family worked in perfect sync, each person's efforts multiplying the effectiveness of the others. In that moment, Marcus saw what he had been missing all these years: the power of true collaboration, of family bonds strengthened by crisis. Dome integrity at 10%, the colony's AI announced. Complete failure imminent. Kate looked up from her work, her face pale but determined. Marcus, we need more power for the bacterial acceleration. The lab systems can't handle it. Marcus glanced at his quantum processor. It held enough power to run a small city, but using it this way could destroy it, and possibly him along with it. The quantum field was already stretched thin across multiple realities. "Dad, don't," Lucas said, reading his father's expression. "It's too dangerous." "We don't have a choice," Marcus replied. He looked at his son, seeing not the angry teenager of recent years, but the boy who used to believe his father could fix anything. Sometimes being a father means taking risks for your family. Before anyone could stop him, Marcus connected his quantum processor directly to the lab's main power system. Energy surged through the circuits, making the lights flare blindingly bright. The quantum field around them became visible to the naked eye, a shimmering curtain of possibility. Kate's bacteria began evolving at impossible speeds, spreading through the colony's systems like a beneficial flood. Sophia's plants grew faster, their enhanced structures wrapping around failing support beams. Lucas' drones moved with uncanny precision, guided by data from successful timelines. Marcus felt the quantum processor burning in his hands, but he held on. Through the quantum field, he could see every version of his family across countless timelines. The happy ones, the broken ones, the ones who had found their way back to each other. Dome integrity stabilizing at 12%, the AI announced. Environmental systems showing signs of recovery. The family held their breath, watching the readings. The bacteria had spread through every critical system, repairing damage on a molecular level. The plants had created a secondary support structure throughout the colony. The drones maintained a constant repair cycle, guided by quantum-enhanced programming. "It's working," Sophia whispered. "We're actually doing it." But Marcus could feel something wrong. The quantum processor was overloading, its connection to multiple timelines becoming dangerously unstable. If it exploded, the quantum backlash could tear reality apart. Kate saw it too. "Marcus, you need to disconnect. Now." He shook his head. "Not yet. The stabilization isn't complete. Just a few more minutes." The processor began to crack, quantum energy leaking from its seams. Marcus felt his consciousness stretching across timelines, seeing every possible outcome. In most of them, he had to make a choice: save the colony or save himself. Lucas suddenly appeared at his side, reaching for the processor. "Dad, let me help. I can reroute some of the power through my drone network." Sophia joined them. "My plants can absorb some of the quantum energy. They're already adapted to it." Kate stepped forward, her hand covering Marcus's on the failing processor. "We do this together," she said firmly. "As a family." The quantum field surged around them, responding to their united purpose. Marcus felt the processor's load lighten as his family helped bear its burden. Energy flowed through all of them, guided by Kate's scientific precision, Lucas's technical skill, and Sophia's natural intuition. Dome integrity rising, the AI reported. 20%, 30%, 45%. The processor's cracks began to heal as the quantum field stabilized. Through the windows, they could see the dome's surface shimmer with new strength, the cracks sealing themselves with quantum-enhanced materials. Environmental systems restored to nominal levels, the AI continued. Colony stability confirmed. The quantum field gradually faded from view, leaving the lab in its normal light. The processor in their joined hands cooled, its surface unmarked, despite the tremendous energies it had channeled. Marcus looked at his family, Kate's relieved smile, Lucas's proud grin, Sophia's tears of joy. They had done more than save the colony. They had proven that together, they could accomplish anything. "I'm sorry," he said softly, "for everything. For putting success ahead of what really mattered." Kate squeezed his hand. "You're here now. That's what matters." Lucas picked up a drone controller. "Besides, Dad, I'd say this counts as a pretty impressive success. We just saved an entire colony using quantum physics, bioengineering, and some really awesome robots. Sophia laughed. Don't forget my super plants. The colony's lights returned to normal, and the warning sirens finally fell silent. Through the dome, they could see the Martian sunset painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. Marcus Bennett, the billionaire who had once valued success above all else, stood with his family in a lab on Mars, surrounded by evidence of their greatest achievement. Not the technology they had created or the colony they had saved, but the bonds they had rebuilt together. The quantum processor hummed quietly in his hands, its connection to other timelines now gentle and stable. In every reality it showed him, his family was together, whole, and stronger than ever. 2 months after the quantum crisis, Mars Colony 7 had changed in remarkable ways. The quantum-enhanced plants from Sophia's lab now grew throughout the settlement, their specialized roots strengthening the colony's structure while providing fresh oxygen and food. Lucas's drones, still carrying traces of quantum programming, maintained the colony with unprecedented efficiency. And Kate's modified bacteria had transformed the environmental systems, making them more resilient than ever. Marcus stood in his new office, watching the Martian sunrise through the reinforced dome. Unlike his old penthouse view on Earth, this vista filled him with peace rather than loneliness. The office itself was smaller, simpler, but felt more like home than any luxury space he'd ever owned. Dad. Sophia's voice came from the doorway. She wore her researcher's coat, now decorated with patches showing her status as head of the junior botanist program. The quantum gardens need your help with something. He smiled at the term. The colonists had started calling Sophia's enhanced plants the quantum gardens after seeing how they seemed to grow in patterns that defied normal physics. Show me, he said, following her through the colony's corridors. The main garden dome had become the heart of the colony. Quantum-adapted plants climbed the walls and twisted through special growing channels, their leaves shimmering with slight quantum effects. Lucas's maintenance drones hummed quietly overhead, monitoring and tending to the plants. Kate stood in the center of the garden, examining readings on a holographic display. She looked up as they approached, her face brightening. Good timing. We're seeing some interesting new developments in the plant-bacteria interaction. Marcus watched as she pulled up the data. After the crisis, he had decided to stay on Mars, establishing a new research center focused on combining quantum technology with biological systems. Kate now led the main research team, while he focused on providing resources and support rather than trying to control everything. The bacteria are evolving again, Kate explained, pointing to microscopic images. But this time, they're working in perfect harmony with Sophia's plants. It's like they've learned to communicate across quantum fields. Lucas joined them, carrying a modified drone. The same thing is happening with my repair systems, he said. The drones are anticipating problems before they happen, like they're getting information from other timelines. Marcus pulled out his quantum processor, no longer the only one, as he taught the colony's engineers how to make more. Its surface showed the now familiar shimmer of multiple realities intersecting. The quantum field is still active, he confirmed, but it's stable. Instead of trying to force realities together, it's letting them work in harmony. He paused, looking at his family. Kind of like us. Sophia grinned. That's pretty deep, Dad. But what about your company back on Earth? Don't they need you to run things? Marcus shook his head. I've appointed a new CEO for daily operations. Quantum Horizons is doing fine without me micromanaging everything. Some things are more important than running a company. The family walked through the garden together, stopping to examine new plant growth and check drone operations. Other colonists working nearby waved or called out greetings. Where once Marcus had been known only as a distant billionaire, he was now simply part of the community. Remember when you first arrived here? Kate asked, touching a glowing plant leaf. The colony was about to collapse, and we were all scared. And angry, Lucas added, though his smile took the sting from the words. I couldn't believe you just appeared in Mom's lab like that. Marcus nodded. I was so focused on fixing the technical problems, I almost missed the real reason the quantum field brought me here. It wasn't just about saving the colony, it was about saving us. A small alert chimed from his quantum processor. He checked the reading and smiled. Look at this, he said, projecting an image into the air. The quantum field showed them a cascade of timelines, but unlike before, they weren't chaotic or threatening. Instead, they flowed together like streams joining a river, all leading to futures where their family remained whole. The field is stabilizing across all realities, he explained. In every timeline, we found our way back together. Different paths, same destination. Sophia hugged him suddenly. I'm glad you stayed, Dad, even if you're not running your big company anymore. Actually, Kate said, exchanging a look with Marcus, we've been thinking about that. The research we're doing here, combining quantum technology with biology, it's opening up possibilities we never imagined. We could help terraform Mars faster, develop better ways to protect colonists, maybe even find ways to heal quantum damage to space and time. Lucas perked up. Are you talking about starting a new company here on Mars? The children's eyes lit up with excitement, but Marcus held up his hand. But this time, we do it differently. No missing family dinners for board meetings. No sacrificing relationships for profit. Success means nothing without the people you love to share it with. A group of colonists passed by, carrying plants from Sophia's nursery to start a new garden section. Lucas's drones followed, helping to monitor the transport. Kate's bacteria, invisible but ever-present, kept the air clean and systems running smoothly. And Marcus's quantum processors maintained the delicate balance between all these elements. I used to think success meant having the biggest company, the most money, the latest breakthrough, Marcus said, watching the colony at work. But real success was here all along. It just took a quantum crisis to help me see it. Kate slipped her hand into his. Better late than never. The quantum processor hummed softly, showing one final vision, their family in the years to come, working together, growing together, succeeding together. Not just in this reality, but in all of them. So, Lucas said, about this new company, I have some ideas for quantum-enhanced drone swarms that could help with large-scale terraforming. Sophia bounced excitedly. And my latest plant experiments show promise for creating enclosed ecosystems that could support themselves indefinitely. Kate laughed. I think we've created a monster, a family of science nerds with quantum technology. Marcus looked at his family, really looked at them. Sophia's enthusiasm for discovery, Lucas's technical brilliance, Kate's scientific wisdom. This was his real legacy, not the billions in his bank account or the companies he built. The quantum field pulsed one last time, showing him the truth he'd finally learned. Success wasn't measured in money or power, but in the love you gave and received. In every timeline, across every quantum possibility, this simple fact remained constant. As the Martian sun climbed higher over the colony, the Bennett family began planning their new adventure together. This time, they would build something greater than any fortune. They would build a future worthy of the second chance they'd been given. The quantum processor in Marcus's pocket warmed slightly, as if agreeing. In the end, love and family truly were the greatest success of all. Marcus nodded. A family company. Bennett Quantum Biology. If you're interested, of course. Sophia's plant work and your drone innovations would be crucial to its success.